We took our baby to the ER in October of 2024, and both of our children were taken from us not even a week later. My name is Sarah, and I want to share with you what has happened to my family, something that no family should ever have to go through. And what we're finding is many innocent families are going through exactly what's happened to us. Last October, our son, Finn, who was 2 months old at the time, he woke up one night for his overnight feeding and was struggling to eat, thrashing his head around a bit. He seemed uncomfortable. So we kept trying for a little bit. He eventually fell asleep, and when he woke back up, we tried again, and he still wouldn't eat. It seemed like he was taking in a lot of air, so I put him over my shoulder to get a burp out of him. He ended up spitting up some dark red blood-tinged mucus. I am a mother. This isn't my first time, but I feel like any mother would freak out at this sight, and I did. I got my daughter out of bed. We ran our son to the local ER. In our neighborhood, it's literally 3 blocks away. When we walked in, it was clear they didn't know what to do with infants, but they gave him an x-ray, told us everything looks fine. It looks like he has a bunch of gas in his belly, told us to probably talk to our pediatrician. If we were really concerned, go to the Children's Hospital, Children's Mercy in Kansas City. So we did exactly that. We left. We talked to his pediatrician, who told us, it honestly sounds like your son has some kind of viral infection, maybe a cold. Put him in a steamy room with the shower running, maybe give him some Tylenol. If he has a sore throat, that could help. Try saline. Maybe he's congested and he just can't breathe, and that's making it hard to drink. We did all of those things. When we gave him the Tylenol, it actually appeared like he choked and struggled to get the Tylenol down, which then made me freak out even more as a mother. I was all right, that's it. No questions. We're going to go to Children's Mercy at this point. So we packed up the car, got our daughter off to school, and left for Children's Mercy. That, keep in mind, is 3 different health entities that we consulted because we were concerned for our son. So when we got there, we told him our story. They took him back for a CT scan because he had already had x-rays. The x-rays, to our knowledge, the x-rays looked totally fine. So they took him back for a CT scan, and then the next thing we knew, we were being surrounded by hospital staff who told us that our son had multiple fractures within his body and that they needed to hotline this for child abuse. When we heard this, we freaked out, immediately started crying. We had just hired a nanny a couple weeks prior. We did a lot of vetting to find the right nanny, but we thought that this person that we brought into our home had been hurting our son. We were terrified. But what we didn't realize at the time is that they were telling us they had just hotlined us for child abuse. What we really didn't know at the time is that once a children's hospital hotlines a parent for abuse, it's 0 to 100. You are automatically a child abuser, whether you did it or not. For a week, we were trapped, literally held prisoner in a hospital. My son and I, because my husband was kicked out after 2 days. I'm assuming they just thought that he was the perpetrator. It definitely seemed that way in their line of questioning. We had quickly become criminals and not concerned parents. We're trying to find medical answers for our son. Mind you, they did not treat him for a single thing while we were at this hospital. For a week, he had an IV until I asked them repeatedly to take it out because it was just sitting in his arm. They weren't giving him fluids. Nothing was happening. It was just an unused IV in his arm just in case. There was no treatment of the fractures. There was no treatment of anything. They were calling abuse on my son the entire time. After a week, in about 24 hours before they took us to what is called a TOC, or a custody hearing, both of our children, mind you, they told us that we were going to this hearing. That left us essentially 24 hours to find legal representation. That was a near impossible task. When you're underslept, you're worried about the well-being of your son and also our daughter in this situation. Now we're tasked with, we have to rush and find a lawyer, a good lawyer, which that's a whole nother video to touch. But we had to rush and find a lawyer to represent us in a custody hearing for our children, because from the time we walked into a week earlier until right now, these people who have not taken very much time at all to get to know us, to come and visit our home, to get to know our children, they've decided that we were abusers. We walked into a courtroom an hour after meeting our lawyer. We walked into the courtroom. We were served a petition that we had never seen, which was full of misinformation from DCF and the hospital staff. Within 30 minutes, maybe less, the judge took both of our kids. Mind you, they had questioned my 9-year-old daughter. She looked them in the eye and said she was happy, she was thriving, she was healthy, she had never been touched by her parents. But they took her. They basically said, "We don't believe you." On top of that, I happened to get in touch with a lawyer in this country who does a ton of these kinds of cases. By the grace of powers unknown, I was put in touch with this woman. And I sent her pictures of my son's scans because the hospital would not release his files. In fact, we still don't have a full file for my son from Children's Mercy Hospital. But I sent this woman pictures of his scans. She then passed to 2 independent radiologists that she works with frequently. Within hours, they both came back to say, A, I don't see all of the fractures that are being said to be in this child by Children's Mercy, and B, it looks like it looks like his bones are completely nutrient deficient. There's something wrong with his bones. And one of them even said it looks like he has a severe case of rickets. This is before we even went to trial, yet because Children's Mercy would not release our file before the TOC hearing, we could not use these second opinions in court, which means there was absolutely no due process when we walked into court. Our children were taken from us. We hear about it all the time. The system is broken. We all know the system is broken. Workers are underpaid, they're overworked, but here's the thing, children are involved, and what we have learned is the system does not care. Too many times while we've been in this, we have heard that's just how it normally is. The guardian ad litem for our children, their lawyer, the one that's supposed to be protecting them, has yet to meet the children at all. He has not spent 1 second with the kids that he's supposed to be protecting. DCF in our case, they've never been to our house. They've not spent time with the children. They have given zero care as to how the kids are doing after they ripped them out of their home. But they did it, and now all they care to do is prove that they were right in doing it. If they have to make up things to prove that point, then that is not out of the realm of what these people are doing to us. Unfortunately, being in this, we've realized very quickly, being in support groups, that this is a pattern. Every day, families are torn apart without due process, especially when a children's abuse pediatrician gets involved. They're incentivized to report abuse, even if it doesn't exist. That's terrifying. We are not criminals. We are not abusers. We absolutely never abused our children. But here we are, fighting for them every single day with very little help from our legal system. And I hope you stick around to learn the rest.